MG Rod back with you, and today we're back on the Morris Minor here. We're going to try to see if we can sort out that exhaust leak. Let's get going. So I wasn't going to originally do a video on this, but once I got into it, I realized it was going to take a little bit more than I originally thought, not just resetting and clamping it down. Because there's a couple of issues apparently with the front part of this exhaust system, this pipe here, and the way it was bent and the way it was made. And that's not exactly uncommon to see these things not fit on any of these old British cars the way they're supposed to. It seems the patterns and everything are just slightly off, and production tolerances on the new stuff, they seem to be always to the outside edge of the tolerance, and tweaking is not uncommon to make things actually fit. So let's get in there and see what the problem actually is. So the way this was sitting in here, this pipe was sitting all the way down here against the frame, and it's not just a simple matter of just lifting it up like this, because then right here it makes it out of line here and not square with the manifold anymore, so the clamp won't clamp it and hold it. So it needs to stay down here in order to work, which means this bend needs to be bent more to lift this up. But the other problem we have is, look at the bell here. See how much bigger it is than the flange here on the manifold. I don't think the clamp can actually clamp it properly because this is a little too big. So I got in there and measured the ball, or the flange, where you're going to call it, on the manifold, and it measures right about 1 5/8. And this outside here measures about 1 13/16. It's a little under 1 13, so we're talking a little over 1/8 of an inch. Now the clamp here, when this thing clamps on here, there isn't that big of a V here. So when it clamps here, I think what it's doing is it's getting tight on this flange without ever actually getting tight up here on the manifold. And it still wants to rock and move around even when this is tight. So we're going to end up grinding just a little bit off of this outer edge to reduce this diameter enough for this to clamp like it's supposed to.
Go for it.
So the way I'm going to tackle this is I got it clamped in my vise here, and we want this to bend a little bit more. Now you can put a little bit of heat on the inside here and heat this up enough to get it red hot and let it cool, and it will pull some. But will it pull as much as I want to? I don't know. So I've got another piece of tubing here that fits reasonably well inside here that I can pull it with. And I've got a protractor here. So I got my angle, know what angle it's already at as my starting point, and then I can work it and get it a little bit more and know that I've actually moved it. Well, I had to stop and go buy a new torch head because mine took a dump on me. I couldn't get, it was just, yeah, couldn't use it at all. I like to use MAP gas for this because it heats up a lot quicker. Of course, not all torch heads are good for MAP gas, and I'm not 100% sure this one is, but I don't think my last one was rated for it either, and it went for years, so. We'll heat this on the inside here, get it nice and warm, then I'll pull it in with this bar. All right, now we got a little collar in it. That's probably going to be enough. We don't want to go terribly far with it, but we probably added 3 to 5 degrees to it. So we'll let this cool down and we'll go test fit it on the car and see what we got. So I figure while we're waiting on that to cool, go ahead and take a little bit off of the outer diameter of the bell here so that it fits better on the manifold. basically just go around like that until I take enough off to where it's going to clamp well, and then deburr it. Well, now we're looking more squared up to the flange here, with it not being all the way down against here. We got a little bit of room here now. So now it's just a matter of making sure that we've got the diameter here to where this will clamp properly. I think I've got the diameter pretty good, so I went ahead and painted it with some high heat paint from where we ground it here and from where we heated up here. But I also went down far enough because down in here where it was rubbing against the chassis, it had wore through the bare metal. So yeah, that'll help keep it from rusting too quickly. All right, so I got the pipe to where it's no longer moving anymore when it's clamped and not hitting the chassis anymore. So I think we've got it clamped a lot better than it was. Now the end of the ball here isn't the smoothest. We may not get a perfect seal, but we'll see what we got here. It's way better than it was, and I probably won't get it any better than that based on how both the bell looked and how the flange of the manifold looked. So we're going to take that and go with it. Now I just got to finish putting the exhaust system on it, get everything hung and clamped again, and we can talk to the customer about getting it back to them.